Jeff Howard here at FixMyKite.com. We want to show you how the new Tuff Bladders and the Fix My Kite valves and everything else works here, and the reasons why certain materials are in inflatable kites as they are now. The biggest thing to understand is every single kite manufactured on the market today has a PU bladder, and it has been. It has a PU bladder for a reason ever since all the inflatable kites are in. Now the reason that you want to have a PU in there is bladders are not shaped as in kite shaping is, and they will fill the voids inside, and the reason is you want them to be stretchy. This is a Tuff Bladder here, and you can see it just comes right back to shape. This is a PU, a polyurethane, and it's built for this purpose, and that's what you definitely want to have and put in place back into your kite. And as you can see, it stretches. That stretching, once it locks inside of the casing, takes its shape, and it doesn't want to deform it. It'll just easily stretch to where it needs to go. You can see some of the competition. If you pull on it, it's basically plastic. This is like putting a shopping bag inside of your kite. So what it does is it thins out as it begins to stretch or any motion goes on it. So that's what happens inside of the kite, and when it thins out, it just pokes through. It's very thin. There's a problem we've had with many of them that we've installed and had to take back out. So getting a PU bladder is very important. Replace them with a PU, and here at Tuff Bladders and FixMyKite.com we have them in the struts, we have them in leading edges, everything ready to go. Now the biggest benefit is you can get back on the water in a very, very short amount of time and be ready to go, and it will be backed. We will stand behind all of our valves and bladders and everything else as long as everything is installed correctly. We will back that off in workmanship and everything else. So make sure getting it installed correctly is most important. We've done a lot of testing on them. Now, what I'm going to do is going to show you how to install one of these. What you're going to want to do is, let's say we have a strut here. This is how they will come. They'll come rolled up. Very simple. The most important part is making sure that you have the exact length of the existing of the kite there, or the bladder that you're replacing. So if you don't have the bladder in hand, make sure to measure the front of the casing of the strut all the way to the very, very end and add a few inches. So in other words, if you're looking at a 50 centimeter and you don't know if it's close, go to 60. Being a little bit longer doesn't hurt anything, but making sure it's not too short is the most important part. So what we have is you have your bladder here, and what you'll do is you'll measure from the leading edge of your bladder. If your valve is placement, let's say about 6 or 7 inches back, add about a ½ inch. This gives a little bit more expansion space in the front of the bladder to fill the voids at the very front of the strut. Now they're very easy to install, and that's what I'm going to show you in the next demonstration. So what you're going to do is you're going to mark it with a permanent marker right where the valve was on the existing one, and then we're going to show you how to install it. We have a simple small bladder here. This is one of the Tuff Bladders again. We just pull it out as a sample. What you want to do is you're going to work the two layers apart wherever your mark is. So if you have a mark on the bladder, that's where you're going to put your valve. Separate the two layers and pinch it where that mark is. Pull it up, get it flat, fold it over, and give it a quick cut. It's not real important. The hole, you want to make sure that it is big enough so that if there is a one-way in the valve that doesn't touch the flap. Now that you have that in there, you can see my hole here. This is exactly how the valves come. These are the self-stick valves from Fix My Kite. They're backed with Type A Terrade. This is the #1 sticky material for patching any of the PU bladders at all. There are many aftermarkets out there. If it doesn't say Terrade, it's not Terrade. And there's been problems with them peeling off, and because of that reason. They have some of the toughest material in doing this. So what you want to do is, the most important part is looking at your valve and orientating your valve closure, your cap, with the old one, and making sure you have that orientation correct, because sometimes there's velcros that close over. Now some of them do not use this little flap and it's cut off, which is not a problem. Just take your scissors, snip this off, and then install your valve and put the cap into the velcro. So depending on your kite. Now if you want this as a one-way, that's how it's set up. It has a flapper on the bottom down here. Now if you want to turn this into a two-way valve, which is like an inflate, but you can pinch it off or whatever it is, or a one pump system, some of them use these valves, simply push that up as I did, clip it off, and you're ready to go. Inside your kit you will also have your alcohol pad. Take out your alcohol pad, get the cloth inside, squeeze out any excess. You don't need a whole lot, but you just want to squeeze it out. Once you get that, clean the area, This is a brand new valve. Make sure it's dry, make sure there's no residue on here. Once you get that, slowly peel back. Now remember, once you unpeel this sticky on the Terraid, this stuff is amazingly sticky. So make sure you take your time and it doesn't stick back to itself. Now if you wait a minute, you will see that it'll gradually start to creep down. Let it do so, keeping your bladder flat. Now again, make sure you align this correctly and find out exactly which way it needs to go for this. But simply just hold it out, place it over the hole, work the inside out. So smashing all the inside and working your way out around the valve. Over time this will stick better and better and better. If there's any problem with it, we've had there's a few bladder materials, some older materials that are take a little bit time, a little bit more for bonding, and sometimes getting a hairdryer and warming it up, this will allow, and only warming, not really hot, just warming it will allow that bonding a little bit better and a little bit more over a little time. But once it's bonded, it is a solid feel. You can notice I've just done this real quick. I'm going to inflate this. And as you can see, it's a solid connection. And that's the good thing about a Tuff bladder. You can take these, they're made to stretch and to fit inside of the kite. Every kite on the market today has a PU bladder. Replacing it with the correct material is very, very important. Again, that's Jeff Howard here at FixMyKite.com, and PKS Distribution is a distributor of all the products. We have all the valves, leading edges, anything that you will need to get your kite back on the market. And as you can see, it's this. I just pulled out the cap there a little bit. Since I clipped off the one way, it's a little tougher. But as you can see, it's there, and it's permanent. This is an easy, complete, permanent fix for your kite in your bladder system. So there is one to fix any kite on the market. Very easy to fix. Get you back on the water in probably less than 15 minutes. We can get your kite inflated with a leading edge or a strut, and you're ready to go. We're here to help. Let us know.